With injury updates for a WWE and AEW star, this is Wrestling Hub. My name is John, and you're watching the Wrestling Report for July 5th. Before we get into the rest of the video, make sure you subscribe to Wrestling Hub and turn on all notifications to stay up to date with everything in the world of pro wrestling. Also, don't forget to follow us on Instagram at Wrestling Hub Official and follow us on Twitter at Wrestling_Hub. While the former AEW champion is recovering from injuries, Kenny Omega spoke on Twitch and took a shot at perhaps his biggest critic. I think Jim Cornette has backed himself up into a corner where now he's found this group of extremely pathetic human beings who have no other thing to aspire to become, or no one to base their life off of, no one to listen to, no one to adhere to their commands. And so, when it became a character that he could play, as though he was still traveling up and down the strip in the indies, like back in the old days, now he's got this group of people hanging off his every word, and all he has to do is sit and talk on a podcast with some other guy. When he realized he could make money by delivering hateful speech, he backed himself into a corner. And now if he wants to make rent, if he wants to buy his fancy McDonald's double cheeseburger meal, he has to talk about the things that are going to get attention, and a lot of the time, that's going to be yours truly. That seeps into our locker room too. Yeah, it does. Everyone is so afraid of the cult of Cornette Army, and people that have anti-AEW sites that they want to do whatever they can to stay safe. Speaking about those that believe WWE and AEW are at war with one another, WWE Hall of Famer Road Dogg told Chris Van Vliet AEW is not going head to head with WWE, so it almost feels more like, not a war, but like, I don't know, like there is another wrestling show on. I don't think the boys are so in a competition in a war as the offices are, you know what I mean? Talking to Wrestling Inc., Smackdown Sarah Schreiber spoke about interviewing stars and improvising with them. With Becky Lynch and Kevin Owens, they're playful and they're fun, and they make these great choices, and so you just roll with it. You ride that wave, and you just get to adapt with that and improv with that. And that's the stuff that is really just fun. Between Sammy and KO, I am like, am I Sarah? I don't know. Like, they'll give me a new name every week. Nikki ASH is one of my best friends in the world, but she's always a blast because I've known her since NXT days, and she was one of my favorite. Like, we were on the road together. I looked back at pictures. We've had just 5 years of stories. Recalling her experience with NXT on her YouTube channel, Impact Wrestling's Mia Yim said that in 2019 I was a part of the War Games that I was taken out of. But before Triple H told us as a group, he and Sarah pulled me aside and said, hey, this is the deal. You're going into War Games, but we're going to have you get taken out before the match. We just wanted to let you know so you don't feel like you did something wrong. Throughout my whole time in NXT, you could tell Hunter really cared about all of us, our feelings and our health. If there was something that bothered me, I would comfortably be able to go up to him and talk to him about it. At least in my experience, he went out of his way to let me know that I'm good, and that this is nothing against me, but I'm letting you know before we tell the group. With fans wondering how high Claudio Castagnola's ceiling is in AEW, Matt Hardy revealed on his podcast how he'll be utilized. He's a great asset. If he's working for any company, he is a great asset. He's one of those guys too. I worked with him a lot, obviously, when we returned to WWE and we had the Hardys versus the Bar program. He's a guy who really gets it, but besides just being a great technical wrestler and scientific wrestler, and he has great strikes and is very creative and very unique in the way he does things. On top of that, he speaks so many different languages, that's insane. But he also would get how to work with Broken Matt or Woken Matt, He got the whole gig and he gets how to work with different characters as well. So I think he truly does have the complete package, and I'm very excited to see him in AEW. I think he's going to really enjoy his time here. I think he'll probably get the greatest utilization he's had in a very long time here at AEW. On his Hall of Fame podcast, Booker T spoke about Mr. Money in the Bank theory, saying it's beautiful to see, for me, as a worker, as a performer, just because when this guy turns babyface, the fans will absolutely love him. I'm telling you right now, they are going to love him so much, it's going to be nuts. So I'm just looking at like Picasso in the middle stages of the painting right now. That's where we are as far as theory goes. We have to just sit back and watch him work. When it comes to WWE's plans for SummerSlam, Dave Meltzer noted on Wrestling Observer Radio, so it's probable that it'll be Riddle versus Seth Rollins at SummerSlam. That's the main event at most of the house shows too going forward. Also on Wrestling Observer Radio, Meltzer discussed WWE's attendance, television, and merchandise numbers, saying, "The one thing that was really notable to me is the WWE stuff was generally pretty decent. It was up a little bit most of the shows. There's a big one in Houston, very big advance for a TV taping. The Madison Square Garden's up, most of the shows are up. AEW, most of them are down a little bit, most of the recent ones. The debuts obviously have been huge. The Detroit debut was very strong, obviously Los Angeles debut couldn't have been better, but the cities that they're going back to, they are down. The AEW stuff to me is kinda understandable when most of the top guys are out of action right now. There are so many injuries, so that's gonna hurt a little bit, but WWE being up was interesting to me. Almost across the board, whatever they're doing, another interesting thing about that is they're up, and one of their biggest drawing cards, Roman Reigns, is not even on these shows other than Nashville for SummerSlam, which is doing pretty well. Whatever it is, there's definitely an upswing in interest in the product for whatever reason, so that was kind of an interesting thing to see. The ratings of WWE have been up. WWE is on an upswing right now, so they're doing something right, whatever it is. Also at the Vegas show on Saturday for Money in the Bank, they did monster merchandise numbers in Vegas. They had a hot crowd as well, but they did monster merch numbers. It was blowing people away. It was like double per head what they did last year at SummerSlam in the same market, which is incredible, because when you have those big shows like SummerSlam or WrestleMania, the merchandise sales are way up from a usual show. And this was just a regular pay-per-view compared to a SummerSlam. So a lot of good news for WWE in the popularity front right now. So they are satisfying and growing their fan base right now. On Out of Character with Ryan Satin, Alexa Bliss touched on her previous on-screen alliance with Bray Wyatt prior to his release, as she said, "Working with The Fiend, with Wyndham, was the most fun I've ever had in my entire WWE career. He is so brilliant with his creativity, and he puts so much effort into his character, so much research. It made me want to step up my game, 100% being like, okay, well, he puts this much thought into this character, I need to put twice as much thought into mine. When you step into someone else's gimmick, you don't want to bring it down, you only want to elevate it. I put in so much effort into that and protecting the character and protecting when we did the Firefly Funhouse. It was so fun. Obviously, it's very sad that we don't work together anymore because it was so much fun, and I think the WWE Universe saw how much fun we were having." During his ref and rant on Twitter, former WWE official Jimmy Cornette had this to say about Liv Morgan cashing in her Money in the Bank contract on Ronda Rousey. "It was a nice surprise. It got the huge pop it wanted, but is it the way a babyface should win a championship or cash in their Money in the Bank? That's the only issue I had. Yes, the crowd did love it, but at the same time, babyfaces don't do it that way. Maybe if she came in and said to Ronda Rousey, I want to cash this in. Are you ready? And Ronda said okay, and then do it, then you can make a case for that." As he fractured his C1 and C6 vertebrae during a match on Smackdown in March, former WWE champion Big E has been out of action. Yesterday he took to Twitter to write, "My C1 isn't ossifying quite yet. The current plan is to get more scans at the 1-year mark and see how it's going. The great news is I feel tremendous and surgery is off the table." With AEW President Tony Khan confirming that Kyle O'Reilly as well as Bobby Fish are out due to injuries, O'Reilly had this to say about his health on the Van Color podcast. "This October, I'll be wrestling for 17 years now. It's a lot of bumps, a lot of wear and tear on your body. Fortunately, nothing serious has really happened to me. I've been hurt a lot, I've been injured, but I've always grinded through, made the date, showed up and performed as well as I can in the ring despite whatever I was nursing. Sometimes, the medical staff needs to save us from ourselves. As wrestlers, we'll go until the wheels fall off. My shoulder is hurt, okay, I won't do any moves where I land on my shoulder. We're crazy like that. This is something I've been dealing with. It's a nagging thing that I've been dealing with, specifically pretty bad for the last 5 years. In the last few weeks of wrestling on AEW, I've been really banged up and didn't know the extent of it until now. I still don't know all of the information, so I don't want to disclose exactly what is happening with me. I need more information and I should know probably this week what the recovery time is going to be and what the recovery will entail. All I can do is, if there is time off, use it to re-motivate myself, get in better shape, and come back stronger than ever before." As WBC heavyweight champion Tyson Fury is seemingly done with professional boxing, he has expressed interest in returning to WWE, with rumors of a potential matchup against Drew McIntyre. Give Me Sport has said sources close to Fury say the 33-year-old is in talks with WWE regarding a potential return this summer. While it was said nothing has been finalized, it was added that his return would tie in with Clash at the Castle, which is slated to take place on September 3rd in Cardiff, Wales. In an Instagram video from his gym, The Rock wished Americans a happy 4th of July and had a positive message as well. Here's the clip.
Happy 4th of July to all of you guys out there. I hope you guys are having the best day celebrating with your friends, your family, your loved ones, your ohana. I hope you're having the best day as we celebrate our country's independence. Happy birthday, America. And of course, as a country, and I know we all agree, regardless of what side of the line you fall on, we can all agree that we could be better as a country. We have a lot of room for improvement, and we have some things to fix, and we're going to get there. I'm optimistic. I'm always optimistic. We got to have faith. We got to keep putting in the work, and I do believe we're going to get there. We'll get there. We'll definitely get there. And as I always like to say, you guys have heard me say this in the past, look, I don't give a shit what color you are, where you come from, what religion you practice, what you identify as, what your bank account says, what car you drive, where you live, what part of the country you live in. It doesn't matter to me. I don't give a shit. The only thing I care about is whether or not you are a good, hard-working, decent, kind human being who treats other people fairly, and you're inclusive, because everybody is created equal. And of course, if you're always willing to put in that hard work with your own two hands, I got a saying, as you guys know, it's one of my favorite. It's nice to be important, but it's more important to be nice. So let's keep leading with kindness. I love you guys. We're going to get there. Let's celebrate today. Back to work. Love you guys.
And this was your Pro Wrestling News Update. I hope you're all having a great day. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you later.